Why did our paths have to cross again? Out of all the people I could train with, why did it have to be her? The person who became the reason why my life turned into a complete mess, she said in annoyance while staring at her reflection. She let out a deep sigh and angrily entered one of the cubicles. After using it, she quickly walked out, only to suddenly freeze after bumping into Becky.
Becky laid down on the wide mat as instructed by Mrs. Smith for her and Freen. At that moment, as Freen leaned over her, it felt like her movements were slowing down. The moment their eyes met, it felt like everything around them became blurred. The moment Freen placed both of her hands on Becky's chest, it felt like electricity ran through her body. She suddenly felt her heart beating fast. A few moments later, Freen suddenly pulled her hands back, and Mrs. Smith immediately noticed it. "Miss Sarocha? Is there a problem?" Mrs. Smith asked in surprise. No, nothing's wrong," Freen repeatedly said while avoiding eye contact with Becky. While Mrs. Smith was giving instructions, Becky could not help staring at Freen's face. Freen was really beautiful, and even back when they were in the pageant, Becky had already noticed her beauty. Even though they had only talked a few times before, Becky had already felt comfortable around her. That was why she was wondering why Freen's attitude toward her had changed now. "What is wrong with this girl? She's staring way too much," Freen thought to herself while pretending that Becky's gaze was not affecting her. After their demonstration ended, she quietly returned to her seat. Suddenly, Trixie nudged her. "Hey, I saw that," she said with wide eyes and a teasing laugh. Freen looked at her with annoyance. "Trix, can you stop already? You're not funny anymore." Trixie pouted. You've gotten worse. Ever since our first day of training, you've been frowning all the time and getting irritated so easily," she said teasingly. Suddenly, they heard Mrs. Smith speak. "I already know Miss Armstrong because she used to be a flight attendant before." After hearing their instructor's words, Freen and Trixie immediately looked toward Becky. At the same time, Becky also looked in their direction, and their eyes met. "Oh no, that's sad," Trixie said. "I wonder what happened. Why did she stop? And now she's back to becoming a flight attendant again." Freen didn't know why, but she suddenly felt sorry for her. So Becky used to be a flight attendant before? Their training ended for the day. Freen and Trixie were about to leave the room, while Cheska and Karen followed behind them, when Freen suddenly got surprised after Trixie pulled her and stopped her in front of Becky's seat near the door. Freen rolled her eyes and pinched Trixie's side in annoyance. Trixie only grinned before facing Becky. "Hi, Becca," she greeted with a smile, while Cheska and Karen smiled too. Hi," Becky greeted them back while fixing her things. "I'm Trixie, and these are Cheska and Karen," she said while pointing at them. After that, she put her arm around Freen. "And this is Freen," she happily added. Freen and Becky looked at each other for a moment, but Freen was the first to look away. Yes, we already know each other," they both said at the same time. "Oh, I see.
Are you leaving already? Where are you having dinner? Do you want to come with us? Trixie asked one question after another, making Freen even more annoyed. Becky hesitated. Karen walked closer and even held Becky's hands. Come on, join us. I'll treat you, she said with a smile. But, Becky said awkwardly. Yeah, Cheska agreed as she wrapped her arms around Becky's right arm. Okay, Becky finally answered while scratching her head awkwardly. Freen only shook her head silently and frowned before walking ahead of them out of the room. Her mind felt blank because she had no idea what was going on in her friends' heads.
They walked toward Freen's parked secondhand hatchback car that she purposely bought for herself. When Trixie opened the front passenger door, Karen suddenly spoke. Trix, sit here beside us instead. Let's let Becca sit there. Trixie smiled. You're right. Why didn't I think of that? She said with a grin before looking at Becky. Becca, you can sit in the front seat. Huh? Come on, so you and Freen can talk properly. You already knew each other before, right? Becky smiled and looked at Freen. Freen raised an eyebrow, looked away, and immediately sat in the driver's seat. Becky simply followed. They headed to a nearby restaurant where Freen and her friends often ate together. During the drive, the car became unusually quiet. What is this? Did an angel just pass by? Why is everyone so quiet? Trixie suddenly said, breaking the silence. Exactly. Don't you know what music is? Cheska agreed while fixing herself in front of the mirror. Quietly, Freen turned on the stereo and switched between stations. She smiled when she heard Tadhana by her favorite band. She continued driving, not noticing that she had started singing along, not noticing that she was already smiling while listening to the song. Then suddenly, she stopped after hearing someone else singing along too. She turned and looked beside her. Their eyes met, and Becky gave her a beautiful smile. So, this is your favorite song too? Becky asked with a smile. Yes, Freen answered shortly, before looking back at the road. We're the same then, Becky said happily, with an even bigger smile. Freen smiled back at her, but it slowly disappeared. Oh my, Becca, that's really her favorite song, Karen suddenly interrupted. Oh? I wonder why, Trixie teased. We're here, Freen quickly interrupted, before Trixie could continue. She quickly parked the car in the restaurant parking area.
She quietly got out first, and the others followed. When they entered, Freen quickly chose a table for the 5 of them. She sat down while Becky sat across from her. Cheska and Karen sat beside Becky, while Trixie sat beside Freen. Becca, just order whatever you want, Karen said with a smile. That's embarrassing, Becky replied shyly. Come on, don't be shy, Cheska said. A few moments later, a waiter approached their table, and they placed their orders. After the waiter left, the 3 immediately turned to Becky. Becca, we heard earlier that you used to be a flight attendant? Trixie suddenly asked. Yeah? What happened? Cheska asked with interest. Becky suddenly became quiet. It's okay, Becca, if you don't want to answer. Sorry, these 2 are just really nosy, Karen said while laughing and looking at the 2. Hey, aren't you embarrassed? No, it's okay, Becky answered with a smile. Freen silently watched them. She didn't know when or how she became left out of the conversation. She felt out of place because of how quiet she was. She wasn't used to situations like this. She wasn't used to staying silent, until she could no longer take it and suddenly stood up. Excuse me, I'll just go to the restroom. That was all she said before walking away. When she got inside, she stood in front of the mirror and stared at herself. Why did our paths have to cross again? Out of all the people I could train with, why did it have to be her? The person who became the reason why my life turned into a complete mess, she said in annoyance while staring at her reflection. She let out a deep sigh and angrily entered one of the cubicles.
After using it, she quickly walked out, only to suddenly freeze after bumping into Becky. Her eyes widened, especially when she accidentally fell into Becky's arms. Before they could lose balance, Becky quickly held onto the sink.
They leaned against it. Their faces were only about an inch apart. For a few moments, they simply stared at each other. For a few moments, they both froze. Freen could clearly hear the sound of her heartbeat. She could feel how fast it was beating. That was the first time she had ever heard her own heartbeat so clearly. That was the first time she had felt something so strange. She couldn't help staring closely at Becky's beautiful face. Suddenly, they both came back to their senses when someone entered the restroom.
That was close, huh?
Becky said with a smile.
Sorry,
Freen said while lowering her gaze.
it's okay.
Becky replied while still looking at her.
Ah,
Freen pointed at the cubicle. The cubicle is free now. Becky only smiled at her. When Becky finally entered, Freen let out a deep breath.